Guys, it looks like this shutdown, it's coming. There's a midnight deadline tonight. Anything is possible, but the House is not in session. So it looks like we're going to shut down. We've been here before, but I guess the wrinkle this time is that Trump has instructed the OMB to ask agencies for plans to lay off government workers, not just to furlough them. And President Trump said this morning, we may do a lot, and that's only because of the Democrats. So, Carl, here it is. What do you make of this shutdown, and is it really different than ones in the past?
It may prove to be different. And look, it's not novel that each side thinks the politics is on their side. That's, they talk themselves into it. And every time there's a shutdown, each side, the Republicans, Democrats, think they'll benefit. And usually only one side does. But in this case, this new variable, they've had some missteps on this. They want to close Voice of America. They want to close the Department of Education. Well, these are congressionally mandated agencies that were created by a law signed by a president, and they've run into trouble. They get rebuffed in the courts that public opinion isn't even on their side in some of these things. But this is different now. Now you're the executive branch. The Democrats in Congress have closed the government, and whatever the Democrats say, that's what it's going to be. The Republicans are going to vote for this. The Democrats are going to vote against it. You need 60 votes in the Senate. So the Democrats will have effectively closed the government because they want these restorations to health care and Medicare and Medicaid and the premiums for Obamacare. They have their reasons. But now you have a different dynamic. The executive branch isn't closing agencies. The government's been closed. It's the Democrats who did it. And now you're saying, all right, so they didn't appropriate the money. So now we're running the agencies. Oh, we realize that, there's big swaths of these agencies that we can see now during the shutdown are not needed. It's a much more clever argument. I mean, I don't know that Trump can pull it off. He tends to blurt out the stage directions, but in this case, then they can make these cuts and they can say these jobs are not needed. And we saw that during the shutdown that you orchestrated. I think it's a politically tough thing for the Democrats. And I think the policy is tough for the Democrats because I think the courts are more likely to uphold these kinds of firings than the ones heretofore.
Tom, you see it that way?
I do. I think the Democrats are about to make a massive mistake. I mean, huge mistake. We've talked about their brand is sort of in the toilet, and yet they are the out party and they benefit from being the out party. And so, you look at we just had the New York Times Siena poll come out today. Democrats are up a couple of points in the generic ballot. They're up on average, RealClearPolitics average by about 2.5 points. So if the election were held today, voters are saying, look, I don't really like the Democrats, but, they're the lesser of two evils. And so, here they are. Number one, Republicans, J.D. Vance said it yesterday. He said it a couple times, basically saying, look, this is insane. Democrats are going to shut down the government because they want to, they want subsidies for people who are here illegally for healthcare. Now, Democrats contest that and say that's not true, that the law prevents them from getting healthcare benefits in the first place. And so this won't have anything to do with that. But I think J.D. Vance, that argument, I think is effective. And the other thing about Democrats, they're arguing that a lot of these subsidies that they're wanting to basically sort of reinstall, where they have no leverage to do so, are going to hurt people in red states, poor rural areas, and they're going to be the ones that are most affected. If that's true, then let it happen. It's Trump's one big beautiful bill. Republicans own it. They have it. Why not keep the government open? Don't get blamed for a shutdown. And if these folks get hurt by Republican policies and Republican bills that are passed in law, then that's your advantage in the next election. I mean, it should be a no-brainer. It should be a slam dunk. And yet, Democrats
maybe they don't believe their talking point, Tom.
I guess not, because they're sitting here and they're going to shut the government down. And as Carl said, they're going to get blamed for it. I mean, I don't think there's any question that Democrats are going to take the brunt of this. Maybe the only saving grace is that Republicans and Democrats now exist, as we've talked before, in two completely different information bubbles. And so all of the rank and file Democrats are reading the New York Times, and they're going to read about how awful Republicans are and how it's their fault. And all the Republicans are going to be reading, Fox News and the Washington Times and walk away thinking, oh, this is all the Democrats' fault. And so maybe it won't hurt them as badly as the shutdowns have hurt Republicans in the past. But I think they're going to end up taking, whatever blame is out there to be had, it's going to fall on the Democrats.
Yeah. I have just a question about this. And is really, do people really give a damn? Does anybody really care out there that the government is shut down? I mean, how does it affect your normal day-to-day life if you're out there as a voter? And
well, wait a minute,
how
Andy.
salient is it?
The national parks are closed. People have to cancel their vacations, their Social Security check. There's a problem with the Social Security check. Now the checks will still go out, but then you can't get anybody on the phone. Yeah,
well, they say you'll be able to, Carl.
Well,
Medicaid checks will still go out. You'll still be able to,
Yeah, but if there's a problem, there's nobody around to talk to about it. You can think there's fat in the government, but you can't tell me all 3 million federal employees don't do anything. That's crazy.
No, I'm not saying they don't do anything. All I'm saying is that we talk about it as if it's the end of the world, and then the day comes, and the next day the sun comes up, and your mail arrives, and your cops are on the beat. It doesn't look so bad. It does make you wonder about what those 3 million people are doing.
I totally
right?
agree with that.
Yeah.
Well, but look, in past shutdowns, they've all been rehired with back pay. If that doesn't happen, you're going to believe me, this story is going to be around a while.
Well, I know. And that, I suppose, will is one reason why this is different, and why the Democrats, to Tom's point, to just expand on it, might be making a big mistake here, because there are going to be hundreds of thousands of federal workers, it looks like, who are going to lose their jobs because of this shutdown, who might otherwise have been able to keep them. There's also about 100,000 federal workers, who are going off the payroll anyway this month. They took this early deferment. I don't know if you guys read about this.
Yeah, but they didn't count on their spouse also losing their job in a government shutdown orchestrated by Hakeem Jeffries and Chuck Schumer.
Right.
They didn't count on that.
That's a fair point, I guess. Anyway, look.